So we will continue our discussion on modern India history. So we are in the last session. So today we are going to discuss about Mountbatten Plan. Okay. So this is going to be our last session. We started from 1757, Battle of Plassey, and now we are in 1947. So if you remember in the previous session, I have told you the British Prime Minister Clement Attlee issued a statement in 1947 that they are going to devolve power to Indians by the end of next year, that is 1948. And he appointed Mountbatten as the Governor General with an objective to speedily devolve power to Indians at an early date, and he came up with Mountbatten Plan. In that, partition was there. So we are going to discuss about that. But before we move on to Mountbatten Plan, we will quickly see what all things we have discussed in the last phase of our discussion. All these are connected to World War II. So we have to discuss about, quickly I'll talk about August Offer, okay, which was in 1940, and then we will talk about Cripps Mission, which was in 1942. Okay, so 1942, and then we discussed about Wavell Plan 1945, and then we have discussed about Cabinet Mission. So all these we have discussed, and finally now we are going to discuss about Mountbatten Plan. So all these four are actually connected to World War II, which was started from 1939. So when the World War started in 1939, the Congress Working Committee have passed a resolution in the Varda session of 1939, and in that they have decided to support the Indian troops' involvement in World War II subject to two conditions. The conditions were there should be immediate substantial devolution of power even before Indian troops are getting involved in the war. Okay, so even before Indian troops are getting involved in the war, they are in need of devolution of power. And secondly, there should be a constituent assembly which has to be set up once the war gets over to transfer power to Indians. But British government actually rejected this. They ignored this resolution which was passed in Varda session. And now the war is starting, 1939 to 1945, it is going on, okay. And in the first 9 months itself, the British actually started facing major setbacks. In the first 9 months itself, Germany managed to capture France, Belgium and Holland. Okay, so British actually understood that this war is not going to be a short-term war. This will be a long-term war. So they are in need of support from Indians. So they have decided to talk to Indians. So if you remember, you see here when Varda resolution was passed, they were never ready to negotiate or talk to Indians. They were actually rejected this. But now, once after this 9 months, when they started facing setbacks, they are ready for negotiation. So they came up with August Offer in 1940. August, okay. So in August Offer, they have offered dominion status for the first time. So the significance of August Offer is, it is for the first time ever that the British government is actually offering dominion status to Indians. But the dominion status, even dominion status was our demand from 1905 onwards, but it was only till 1928. And last time we demanded dominion status was in 1928 Nehru report. And when Nehru report was actually rejected by Congress, in 1929 Lahore session of Congress under the presidency of Jawaharlal Nehru, Congress passed Purna Swaraj resolution, and since then our demand is complete independence. So when we are demanding complete independence, why you are offering dominion status? And because of that, August Offer is actually rejected by the Congress. Okay, and other proposals in the August Offer was a constituent assembly would be set up once the war gets over. It will be mainly composed of Indians. And keep this word in mind, mainly, because when you talk about Cripps Mission next, I will be talking about the Constituent Assembly, but there will be only or solely composed of Indians. Okay, so Constituent Assembly mainly composed of Indians. And the third one was no future adoption of Constitution will be done without the consent of minorities. And it was a tactical move by the British to turn the Muslim League against the Congress. And we have already discussed this point, so I'm not getting into the details of it. And since Congress rejected Cripps, the August Offer, they went for individual satyagrahas. And why individual satyagraha? Why not a mass movement? We have discussed because Congress does not want to close down any door for open negotiation again. So we have seen the individual satyagraha, Delhi Chalo movement, anti-war declarations and all those things. Okay, and then comes Cripps Mission. What is the context of Cripps Mission? It was in 1942. By this time, Axis powers were emerging victorious, and once Germany captured France, the French colonies in Asia came under the hands of Japan, like Indo-China region, like Laos, Cambodia. All these are coming under Japan, and Japan also managed to defeat or capture Korea and eastern part of China also, and they have reached Burma. And they in fact reached eastern part of India also, along with INA. And they fought a war against British in the Indian soil. And the speciality of that war is there's the only one war which was fought during World War II in the Indian soil. That is the Battle of Kohima, which was jointly fought by Japanese forces and INA army against the English. And the Japanese invasion of India seemed imminent at this point of time. So the British were keen to get Indian support, or so they were so desperate to get the support of Congress. And they came up with Cripps mission. Okay, and in Cripps mission, which was under Stafford Cripps, they again offered Dominion status. And keep this point in mind: this Dominion status first time offered in August offer, and it was there in August offer, Cripps mission, Wavell plan, and in cabinet mission also. All these four, they are offering Dominion status. Still Mountbatten plan, they are offering Dominion status. And the next proposal, next point in the Cripps mission was a constituent assembly would be set up. It will be solely composed of Indians. That means only Indians. Before it was mainly Indians, now it is solely Indians. Okay, so that is the difference between August offer and Cripps mission. Both constituent assembly is there, but here only there it is solely Indians. The third point, if any of the province does not want to join the Indian Union, they can form a union of their own. That means there is a right to secede or right to secession was given to the provinces, okay, which Jawaharlal Nehru argued that this will lead to balkanization of the country. And because of these two, that is Dominion status and right to secession, Congress rejected this, and that led to Quit India movement. And Quit India movement launched from Bombay on August 8, and Gandhi was declared as the leader, gave a call for do or die. This is going to be the last mass movement. Okay, so and immediately in the very next day, that is on August 9 itself, most of the top leaders of Congress were arrested and imprisoned by the British. And the responsibility of leading this movement was left out in the hands of the middle level leadership, and the movement actually was led by people like Aruna Asaf Ali, Usha Mehta, etc. Okay, it was a violent movement. The mainly boycott of foreign goods and picketing of liquor shops were there. Mass participation was there. By far the biggest mass movement. Women participation was also so high. Okay, we have discussed in detail about that. And next is Wavell plan. So what is the context of Wavell plan? It was in 1945, and Wavell plan actually because of the pressure from US pressurized the British to talk to Congress to get the Indian involvement in World War II. Okay, to get the Indian support, US pressurized. By this time, Germans already surrendered, but Japan is still alive in the war. Okay, so Japanese surrendered only after Hiroshima-Nagasaki incident, but during this time, Japan was still alive in the war, so US pressurized the British to talk to Indians to get the Indian support, and they came up with Wavell plan. In Wavell plan also, Dominion status is there, that is the first point. Constituent Assembly, that is the second point. That two remain the same as we have already discussed. And then the third point was, except the post of Commander-in-Chief and Viceroy, everything will be devolved to Indians. By far the biggest devolution formula. Okay, and the fourth point, equal representation would be given to Hindus and Muslims in the Constituent Assembly. And the fourth point was a controversial one. Muslim League argued that the Muslim representation in the Constituent Assembly should come only from Muslim League, and Congress rejected this because if you accept it, Congress would be branded as a Hindu organization. And don't forget, there are many Muslim leaders are there in Congress also. Right from the third session of Congress, it was presided by a Muslim, Badruddin Tyabji, to Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad. We have discussed many Muslim leaders. Okay, so Congress rejected this, and because of this irreconcilable, irrational and radical demand of Muslim League, the Wavell actually announced the breakdown of talks. And that's about Wavell plan. And then comes Cabinet Mission plan. What is actually the context? INA and INA trial that led to a lot of popular sentiments among the minds of the people. We discussed about that in detail, the INA week celebration, INA day celebration, and then we have discussed about Rin mutiny also. And because of these two, actually British understood that their days in India are very limited, because the most important pillars of their rule, that is army and navy, is now turning against them, and they're actually influenced by the nationalist upsurge or nationalist consciousness, and they also started developing nationalist consciousness, and they also started feeling sympathy towards the Congress and their situation. So it is now very difficult to control the army and navy, and they have understood that their days in India are so limited, and they now want to speedily devolve the power to Indians, and they appointed cabinet mission to speedily devolve the power to Indians at an early date. And we have discussed about cabinet mission, and in cabinet mission the first point is very important, that they rejected the idea of Pakistan, and this for the first time that the British actually rejecting the idea of Pakistan. Till now they were silent on this demand. Even though Muslim League is demanding Pakistan, they were silent on partition or Pakistan. Okay, but now they have said that it is not possible to go for Pakistan, because even though in the western part Muslims are in majority, but there is a significant Hindu population also. In the eastern part of India also the same situation is there. For example, 48% of the population are non-Muslim in the western part of India, and 40% of the population are non-Muslims in the eastern part of India. So significant Hindu population is there. So what you're gonna do with these population? So because of that, partition or Pakistan is rejected by the British for the first time. Okay, and secondly, they came up with a three-state formula. They have decided they have divided the states into three categories: Section A, Section B, Section C. And we have already seen that Section B was the Muslim majority area. Section C also Muslim majority areas. Section B, Muslim majority area in the western part like Punjab, Sindh and NWFP. Section C was Muslim majority areas in the eastern India, that is Bengal and Assam. And then Section A obviously will be rest of the areas, the remaining provinces. That means non-Muslim majority, Hindu majority areas, okay, like central provinces, united provinces and all these areas. So they have asked you can sit separately A, B, C and draft your own constitution, no problem, but you have to work under a common center. Defense, foreign policy, communication, all will be under the common center. Okay, and then these three states can sit separately, they can decide their own constitution, but these three states have to sit together and make a constitution of the center, a common center. Okay, so this is what the three-state formula. And again dominion status was offered this time also. So that's about cabinet mission plan. And then Clement Attlee appointed Mountbatten to speedily devolve power to Indians. And Mountbatten came to India along with Cyril Redcliffe, who was a cartographer, and Cyril Redcliffe was to prepare a partition plan in case if there is a partition has to happen through aerial surveys. And remember, this was done through aerial surveys, so that may be different from the ground reality. So during the time of partition, a lot of issues happen, a lot of religious riots happen, a lot of attacks against people happen, and it was a bloody partition, a very painful, traumatic separation, and that led a lot of lives were lost, and it was a huge disaster. It was uncoordinated and hasty implementation of partition. It was a painful partition. Okay, so we will discuss about Mountbatten Plan now. Firstly, Cyril Redcliffe, a cartographer, to do aerial surveys and be prepared with a partition plan in case a partition was to happen. Okay, now let's see what are the main propositions in the Mountbatten Plan. The first one, it was like a partial plebiscite that Hindus and Muslims will sit separately and they will vote for Pakistan. If 50% are in favor of Pakistan, or more than 50% are in favor of Pakistan, there will be a partition. Why it is not called as partial plebiscite is because these members are actually not elected through adult suffrage. Okay, we have already discussed about those things. So provincial assemblies in the northwest and eastern region, and the Hindu and Muslim members of provincial assemblies would sit separately and vote. Okay, so provincial assemblies in the northwest and eastern region, the members in the provincial assemblies, they will sit separately and they will vote, but these members are elected not through adult suffrage. That's why it's a partial plebiscite. So if more than 50% are in favor of Pakistan, then there will be a partition. Okay, so that is the first condition. And Mountbatten emphasized the need for partition, but it has to be with maximum unity. That means people must have a choice to join any of the state. Okay, so second point, Mountbatten emphasized the need of partition, but with maximum unity. That means people should have option to join in either of the states. Okay, third point, where the provinces in northwest and eastern region would have the option of joining either Pakistan or India. Okay, so the provinces in northwest and eastern region can join either Pakistan or India. The independence of princely states are ruled out. So if you remember, when we discussed about Cripps mission, I have told you, if any of the province does not want to join in the Indian Union, they have an option to form a union of their own. That means there was a right to secession which was given in the Cripps mission, but it was actually rejected by Congress, and now it is exactly opposite to that of the proposals in the Cripps mission, that you don't have any right to secession. The princely states' independence from Indian Union is ruled out. Okay, so the independence of princely states like Hyderabad, etc., were ruled out. Okay, because the ruler may want to join the Muslim League or Pakistan, but the people may people need different. Okay, people may need to join the Indian Union. Similarly, next one, Hyderabad accession to Pakistan ruled out. And the last one is the same of all, that is, it is east and west decided by the Red Cliff. Okay, so east and west boundaries are decided by Red Cliff. Okay, so remember that this is done through aerial surveys. I've told you already, not the ground reality. So a lot of riots was there. Partition was poorly planned, poorly executed, poorly implemented, uncoordinated, and the hasty implementation of this partition led to a lot of it was a kind of bloody partition, huge disaster, lost a lot of life, and it was a painful and traumatic separation. And in 1947, August 14, Pakistan proclaimed Independence Day. Okay, and the first Governor General was Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And in August 15, 1947, India became independent. Okay, under Indian Independence Act. Okay, so and India became part of the Commonwealth of Nations. Commonwealth of Nations means the members of erstwhile British colonies, but we refused to accept the Queen of England as the symbolic head. We didn't accept that. Okay, so India became independent under Indian Independence Act, and from 1947 to 50 we continued as a British dominion, and the first Governor General was Mountbatten, and 1950 we came up with fresh constitution, and then things have gone in this way. So I hope this discussion is clear for you. We have completed modern India. We started from 1757 and we have reached up to 1947. So if you are watching this video for the first time, you can get in touch with me here, or you can join this Telegram channel. You'll get all the videos. In fact, we have done from 1757 to 1857 in a stretch. This was our first phase, and then we have discussed freedom struggle from 1857, and we discussed up to the second phase up to 85. Then as Indian national movement, we have discussed from 85 to 1905 third phase, 1905 to 1921 fourth phase, 21 to 31 fifth, 31 to 37 sixth phase, and there's the last phase. Okay, so we have done history in the 7 phases with 57 video sessions. So we have completed modern India. I hope you are happy with this discussion. So if you have any doubt, you can always get in touch with me. We will start post-independence India after some time, and next session onwards I'll do economy. Okay, so see you guys. Thank you.